Hello, I'm Ed Montgomery. I guess you already know they shut the government down, right? Yeah, you know about that. But there's something you don't know. How do you survive these kind of things? How do you get through these kind of things? What's happening? Why is it happening? I'm going to get to the spiritual root of something, so don't you go away. Stay right here with me.
You can do it. Don't stop. Ed Montgomery. Come on. A new way of thinking. Transform your mind. Straight from the vine. Fresh new wine.
Hello, I'm Ed Montgomery. Welcome to Fresh New Wine. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for being right here on this particular day. And also thank you for joining us on Sundays at 11 a.m. for Sensational Sunday, which is more of I call it, I'm not gonna say it's more crowd oriented. It's more of a session with a lot of people. I like a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of people, but it's very connected. We stay connected. So they're interesting. So make sure you watch those on Sunday mornings, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Fresh New Wine is about expanding your mind, expanding your thinking. If you don't change your thinking about things, you will never change your situation. So make sure you start thinking real good here and tell people to hit that like button, hit the like button, click it, smash it, crash it. If you're not subscribed, if you're on YouTube and you haven't subscribed, subscribe right now. Hit the subscribe button. Let me know that you're there. And also click that like button too. It lets me know that you're there. And also get into the comments. Talk to me. Let me know what you're thinking, what's on your mind. If you're not in the city of Houston, what city are you from? If you're not in the state of Texas, what state are you from? If you're not in the United States, what country are you watching us from? Because I would love to know. Okay. As you already know, and most people in the United States already know, the government is shut down, what they call a government shutdown. And what they mean by a government shutdown does not necessarily mean that everything in the world is shut down or all jobs are shut down. Basically, it's what's happening in the federal government that's shut down. TSA agents are working. What it's believed is that TSA agents, they may not get a check. They might get a check later if they stop the shutdown when they're like furloughed, but they're going to be working, but they're not going to necessarily be getting paid while they're working. Federal aviation, the people who are, that's right, who are watching those screens and watching where those airplanes are up in the sky, may not be getting their check. Not that these people who are service oriented just work for money, but also understand there are people that live from check to check, paycheck to paycheck. And you don't want any of these people thinking, I wonder what I'm on. Oh my goodness, I need to pay this bill. You don't want nobody up there thinking like that. You want them to be clearly looking at that computer or that screen to seeing where these planes are and what level these planes are flying at. So if you're going through the TSA, do not be mean to these people right now. Be nice to them and say, hey, I'm with you. Or if you a spiritual person, you can tell them you're praying for them. Whatever it is you say, you just say, hey, I'm with you guys. And be nice to the people that are around because they have to do their jobs. Now, the second thing I want to say about this, about government shutdowns, and not that I'm talking about government shutdowns, because I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a story that you're basically familiar with. I'm not going to give you a long scripture or teach you a long Bible study, but it is a scripture from an ancient text that I want to tell you about. But when you're looking at these things that they're talking about government shutdowns, people are asking questions, well, whose fault is it? Why is this happening? What's going on here? Well, it must be the Democrats' fault, or it must be the Republicans' fault. It must be whatever. Understand you're dealing with a people fault here. And what I mean by people fault, it is how some people think. And sometimes the people who are thinking the wrong way are maybe on a particular political side. And what's happening here is you're looking at Democrats and Republicans clashing about something. Democrats are basically telling you what they said. Listen, if you all don't stop this and change this, it's going to shut healthcare down. In other words, the cost of healthcare and the money that you're paying for healthcare that you're already paying once a month or whatever is going through the roof. And you quite possibly will not even be able to afford it. Most people don't understand that if there's Medicaid, that 40% of all babies born in America is paid for by Medicaid. That's 40%. That's out of 40 babies out of 100. Right, that's right. That's 400 babies out of 1,000, and on and on and on that are going to be born this year. So in those cases, health is one of the most important things that we can ever have. And you got to ask the question, why do you want to disrupt the health of people? Now, as spiritual people, I have to say, if there's anybody that believes in health, healing, what we call divine healing, all these kind of things, it's people of faith. That's who, if you're watching this show today, if you're watching me, then you are a person of faith. And I want you to know that what I consider myself as a follower of Jesus Christ and his teaching. Notice I didn't say I was a Christian. That's other people talking. As a matter of fact, the Christians that we call Christians from the Bible, they never even called themselves Christians. It was their enemies that called them Christians. Christians mean little Christ, or people who act like Christ. And from what I'm seeing, there's some folk out here right now that are not acting like Christ at all. If you're trying to throw people off of their health care and hurt them from having the ability to be able to get health care, or afraid to get health care because they're worried about the bill and how they're going to pay this and how they're going to survive, whether they got to pay their health care or feed their families, then something's wrong. We believe in certain things. This is what Jesus taught us. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ and his teachings. And one of the teachings that Jesus taught us is this, that you feed the hungry, you care for those who are sick, and you clothe those who are naked. That's basic Christianity. Real Christianity, not Christianity Incorporated, not the religion Christianity. I'm talking about the real one. The one that has love. There are only 2 commandments. Love the Lord, your God, with all your heart, your mind, your soul, and your strength. And well, actually, it's 3 of them. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And then love your neighbor as yourself. But you love your neighbor as yourself, which means if you got to love yourself if you're going to love your neighbor with anything, with any kind of love that makes sense. If you don't love yourself, then I sure don't want you trying to love me based on your definition of love. Now, looking at that, and now looking at this government shutdown, and we understand that that's the Democrats' position, is about this health care thing. On the other side, they're talking about money. They're talking about money. We're going to cut the budget. We need to keep the budget this and keep the budget that. When you put budget connected with people's health care on the scale, I got to ask a question. What's more important? Because it makes me begin to think somebody wants people to get sick. Somebody wants to make it harder for people to get well. Now, I know well, just then pray for them and pray, lay hands on the sick and they shall recover. That doesn't always do what we want it to do. We do it but it doesn't always do what we want it to do. If a doctor lays hands on you and knows where the sickness is, it's easier for the doctor to lay hands on you and you shall recover. But you got to pay the doctor. You got to pay the hospital. This is where our system is. So now we come to this thing called a government shutdown. And people are worried who it's going to hurt. Now, I'm hearing from a lot of people who are Democrats. And let me tell you what they're saying. They are saying, shut it down. Let me tell you why. Because they are tired of people in government rolling and running over people to hurt them and getting away with it. And if it's going to cause a little pain right now, let it cause a little pain. Because I'm under the impression that why did you vote for the kind of government we got right now? Didn't you think it was going to hurt some people? Or did some people think it was going to hurt others and not hurt them? So how do you get through life with situations like this? Here's the story. It's an ancient tale, an ancient story about Jesus who was walking water. We always hear it talked about. If you're Jesus, hey, if you like Jesus, then why don't you go on out there and get in that swimming pool and walk on top of the water? Walk the water. And the story is told that Jesus was in the middle of the night, like 3 or 4 o'clock a.m. There was a storm, a major storm. His friends, the disciples, were out in a boat. This boat was about to be destroyed. And then Jesus shows up. And when they see whatever it is out there walking on the water, they thought it was a ghost, except one guy. He wasn't sure, but he asked a question. If it is you, let me come to you. Jesus says to him, come. And the man, name was Peter, gets out of the boat, starts walking to Jesus, but then he begins to sink. Why did he walk the water at first and then sink? Stay right here with me. Watch this little message. I'll be right back, okay? All right. I know I'm not supposed to be interrupting right here, but remember, myalc.org. That's myalc.org. And you can also give at 713-742-2035. You can use your text to give or use your app. If you're on the app, you can go right to that donate button and it won't change anything. You say, why in the world would you break my concentration? I'm sorry, but I wanted you to remember because you know what? Just like there's a break in here, there's also going to be a breakthrough in your life. I believe that. Now, let's go back. Whew. I got on these bifocals, and you probably, I don't know if you can see the line right here. Yeah, this the old school bifocals. But we were talking about Jesus walking this water. You can go back and how I set it up. And Jesus was walking this water, and this guy named Peter gets out of the boat and begins to walk to him. As he walks to him, this guy, Peter, one of Jesus' disciples, is now walking water. Amazing. He's doing what Jesus did, acting like Jesus acts. Peter's an amazing guy. But then all of a sudden, he begins to sink. And here's what the text says. As a matter of fact, I can't remember. There's 3 or 4 different ones in 3 or 4 different references. You can look it up and say, Peter, see Jesus walking water, or Peter walking water. Google it, it'll tell you what the scripture is. It's amazing age nowadays, isn't it? And it says that Peter looked up and saw the wind was boisterous, or he looked up and he saw the reaction of the waves and the wind, the waves and the water to the wind. And he found himself not just walking water, but walking water in a storm. Water was everywhere. And he began to sink. Jesus reaches out, grabs him, pulls him up, and says to him, "O ye of little faith, why did you doubt?" And we discover something about why Peter sank. It was not, he says, "O ye of little faith." What in the world does that mean? We think, and we've always been taught, that brother man lost his faith. Or when he saw the wind, he became afraid. And that's the reason he sank. He didn't sink because he lost his faith. Jesus told him, "O ye of little faith." He didn't sink because he saw he was afraid. Fear can be a problem, but we can live with fear. We can live with faith and fear. There's nothing wrong with that. Fear is always with us. He sank because Jesus asked him, "Why did you doubt? O ye of little faith, why did you doubt?" Now, here we go. It's about how we see these definitions. See, this is what's happening out here in our government, in our country, in our world. People are changing definitions and messing with our minds. Right there. Changing definitions of Christians and saying, "I'm a Christian because I'm against abortion," or "I'm a Christian because I believe that women should be back in the homes and out here in the workforce, because my Bible teaches that. It's here in the scriptures." Okay, because that's what you think you see in the scriptures does not necessarily make it true, because you believe that. Belief is not merely one thought in your mind. Belief, according to biblical understanding, is a teaching. When Jesus said, "O ye of little faith," he was saying to Peter, "O ye of little teaching. You have not learned how to do this thing, have you? You walked the water at first, the easy part. I said, come, and you did what I said, but you didn't know how to sustain yourself. When you're going through trouble, when you're going through storms, when you're going through hurt, when you're going through pain, when you're going through all of these things, there is going to be one major thing that will come at you. I shouldn't say one major thing. Well, yeah, one thing, but in various forms. It's going to come at you to stop you and cause you to sink. It's not fear. Fear is a part of our lives all the time. Little faith, little teaching. Yeah, we need to increase our teaching and understand how things work around us, how this country works, how this politics thing works, how this racism thing works, because that's one of the issues that we're dealing with in such a grand way in this country. Why are you trying to make people sick? Are you trying to kill people? What are you trying to do? Is it about race? Is it about money? We know it's about money. But here's what it is. Why did you doubt? It's about doubt. Here is how you get rid of faith. You create doubt. You create different pictures and different picture scenarios of bad things. And the more of them you create, the more of them you duplicate. Duplicate. That's what the Greek word for doubt is, where we get the word duplicate. That's right. Create a situation in a city and say the city is so dangerous, which is why we're going to send in the National Guard. Washington is horrible. Chicago is horrible. Memphis is horrible. Oregon is horrible. These places are all horrible. And what kind of places are they? What type of people live in these cities? This is what's causing the problem. And then you take pictures of the National Guard in these cities, and you send these pictures out to all and tweet it out to all America. National Guard in these cities, and use the caption, "We are cleaning up Dodge City, and I'm the sheriff, Matt Dillon." Or you turn around and you come up with pictures and you get on and you show the people how Tylenol is creating autistic children. You don't actually say it, but you imply, watch that here. Well, maybe you don't need to take that like that, and begin to show for whatever reason. And you put the picture in the minds of people how their babies are becoming autistic and growing up with that situation for the rest of their lives. Pictures, you're duplicating pictures. You tell people that their money, they're wondering about, what about the groceries? They go to the grocery store and they see the egg prices still going up that you promised was coming down. Meat prices going up that you promised was going down. Everything is going up that you promised was going down. And these pictures are everywhere. Then you create pictures. You can't trust black people. You can't trust white people. You can't trust this, black and white. That's not it. Color is not the issue. It's not tone or color. Whiteness, of course, is a construct of the mind. If you can get rid of that, you'd be surprised how quickly we all can come together and realize who the real enemy is, what's really causing us to sink in our society. You go to the colleges and you talk of how bad the colleges are teaching, and they're woke people and come up with these definitions of the word woke. Woke means not agreeing with your system of Christianity or your system of understanding about the world. DEI, if you see somebody flying a plane, they're DEI, which means less education, less of a mind, and you're saying things like that to people. You're creating pictures. Now add all these pictures up. DEI. Guards on the streets of our cities. Tylenol. Add all these pictures up. And you duplicate all of these different scenarios and then ram it against your faith in God concerning your well-being. And you find yourself sinking. Why are you sinking? You're sinking because nobody's teaching you that this junk is happening and how it is happening. It is an assault on your faith, on the faith you have. And not only that, the only way to get rid of it is to begin to peel off all of the duplication of this mess that is being put out to separate us as people, to separate us from each other, to separate us from the love of God, which is why Romans chapter 8 says, nothing shall separate us from the love of God, which is in Christ Jesus. It is love that holds us together, love that keeps us together. Pulling all of these duplicate visions, pull them out and say, you know what? Here's what I'm going to look at. I can walk this water. I can get through this trouble. Yes, I'm going to have some trouble. Yes, I'm going to go through some things. Yes, there's going to be some tough times ahead for me. But you know what? I can get through it. And when we come together in community, like we are right now, in community, 1-on-1, 2-on-2, with each other, you and I can get through this. We can get through this. We can get through this. Get them voices out of your head. You know, over the years, I've had slogan, a statement that I've lived by. And it's been the slogan of our ministry. And what it's called is building the people who shape the world. And I'll be honest with you, I was on fire about this slogan about 40 something years ago. And I was ready to go out there and get the world saved because we're building the people who are going to shape the world. And I had this vision of being able to go out and shaping this entire planet and reaching out into nations, which we have done. But I think when you get a little older, no, let me say vintage, things change a little bit. And so the world I'm concerned about shaping is the world of everyday people, not the whole planet, but your world, my world. How we shape our relationships, how we shape our value systems, how we shape our morality. And in times like this, how we shape our courage. And when you begin to shape your world, you can begin to help other people shape their world. And then you can connect your shaped world with the shaped world of other people and build even greater works and greater worlds. That's why I ask you to give, because your giving helps us to be able to give how we think, how we see God, how we view ourselves through the lens of our God, through God's Spirit, through His power, through His love, how we love other people, how we help other people. This is what I believe our life's mission work is. Building the people who are shaping their worlds. To build them up, encourage, to build them into knowing that their value supersedes what other people would try to tell them about their value. It is healing broken hearts. It is realizing that I walk in abundance. I walk in places that I don't have to worry about lack. It doesn't mean that I won't have any, my pockets won't be empty every now and then, but it means I won't walk in lack. It's how we think about this. If God holds me, God has given me everything I need. Ladies and gentlemen, help us to keep doing what we do. Take a moment. Go to myalc.org. That's myalc.org. Or if you're watching this on one of our emails, click the button at the end of the email. Just take a moment and do it. Or you can text to give. And that text to give is 713-742-2035. Do any one of those things. But what you do, make sure you do it with love, because that's what's going to explode this power all over, not only the world, but shape the world you're in. God bless you. We love you. Hey, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Hit that subscribe button, smash it, crash it. Let us know you're there.